All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Jeffrey Rosales on the TVC podcast here. I have my amazing co-host for today, Hiram Figueroa. Hiram, how you doing today?
Hey, man, Jeffrey is great it's great, man. In spite of everything that's happening right now, as you know, and I'll disclose that I work for the federal government. Government shut down, but guess what? I still got a roof over my head. We're still talking. We had an amazing get-together meeting, great. So I think that for me, blessed and to the point. So
that's amazing, brother. I woke up today. You woke up today. We are both full of breath and ready to hard charge. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I may need a third one before I go to the gym today. Just saying, man. I'm a little caffeinated out, but I'm excited, man. It was so great to see you at the trade show. Thanks and shout out to Al Renteria again for putting on another great trade show this year, man. And I think it was better than last year.
Yeah, it was better than last year. And nothing towards Al because he was the jack of all trades and doing everything else. But I like the fact that even though I showed up late, which I shouldn't have, right? But I said, hey, I was a little bit taken back because there was a lot of engagement. There was a lot of energy. It was like, oh, I missed the first half hour. What's going on? But seeing you again, and I think that people need to understand this is a prime example when you connect with people on social media and then you connect, you make it, you make a difference, and you go from virtual to in person makes a difference, and then you be able to align yourself with other people. People need to understand that. But it was great seeing you. I like the whip. I was happy to see your roommate. So it's like it was a good thing, So
it was phenomenal, man. Yeah, absolutely. And seeing fellow Marines and getting after it, and you made a good point, man. Like it's one of those things where you're marketing yourself all day on social media, but it's like, hold on. Go talk to that person or go connect with them in real life. Like, why are you just marketing yourself all day? What's the point of that? Like, the whole point is to turn into a transaction, or more important for me, a relationship. I feel like you and I have cultivated a good relationship over the years, and now that we're seeing each other in person, I think the environment, the energy was on point there, at least based on the current environment and what we're seeing. Seeing small business owners, seeing generations from past and present, the high schooler who gave the national anthem.
I missed that.
Oh, the Marine Corps, the Marine Corps Junior ROTC, color guard.
I missed all that.
There was a retired sergeant major there, Gerardo.
Yeah.
And 23 years in the Marine Corps. That guy looked like he was still 20. I was like, hey, man, are you sure you're a sergeant major? You just retired? You look like you're 23, bro. You look like you just graduated high school out of college. What are you doing? What are you taking? Tell me what you got going on. But it was a phenomenal, man. Or talking to the Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart. I mean, that was amazing, man. Just bringing those people together, sharing wisdom, sharing knowledge, and more importantly, sharing opportunities, right? Given this current environment that we're in with all these constraints environment, how important is that?
I think the biggest takeaway I can tell you is like when I walked in, I said, man, I just missed the biggest part, right? I was like late, and then I saw a sergeant major. I was going like, this dude, his hair is still dark, right? He still can fit into his blues, right? Everything is on point. His alignment, he had his straps, so his shirt didn't fall off. But here's my thing, right? I believe that people need to be more involved in this. And there was more involvement because you were co-hosting. Collaboration is the key to success, to be able to market yourself so they can actually hear what you're saying. And then they can be able to have some feedback because people are just talking into the air. But you notice we made our rounds and we just parked ourselves from back and forth, had some opportunities. And I believe that we need more of that. And, this year was pretty much, and I believe praying for next year it'd be a success. The 15th year would be good. But to your point, I believe that relationships are priceless, right? And people don't understand that conditional relationships are bad business decisions. If you have a conditional relationship, like, hey, I'm going to get something out of you, but at the end of the day, you're going to burn that bridge. As I shared with you offline, what we talked about my situation, to me, it's a priceless commodity. You can't put a price on relationships, and then marketing yourselves is a twofold situation because as you're developing relationships, you're marketing yourselves. There's transparency, there's accountability for yourself, and you got to be able to stay on point of what your brand is. So,
I love that. Hiram, you couldn't have said it any more better than that, right? Relationships is the key to success, not just in business, life, family, future business partners. That's going to open the door for you, right? So many times people focus on the transaction, like wow,
Yep.
like the transaction, like there's a lot of transactions, but the thing is if you want to create long-lasting relationships, man, the ones that are going to be there for you in the end, the ones that are going to watch your six, the ones that are going to be in the foxhole with you when the bullets start coming, those you can probably only put on a handful. That's it. And they're hard to build.
Well, I learned watching everybody else, they were more vibrant because there was constant engagement, right? Which we start developing relationships. And then, we start paying attention to their mission statement of what some people were not engaged, but here's the thing of a trade show. Some will, some won't, right? Some don't know, right? And so you got to be able to engage with them and give them a perspective or first set of eyes of what the mission statement. What are you bringing to the trade show this year that you didn't bring to the trade show last year? And if you're going to do something next year, how are you going to level up so other people can be able to buy into the next trade show? You get me?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what you just said, I think of a debrief. Have a debrief with yourself and your team if you're a business owner that attended that trade show or any event or conference, and find out what went well and what went wrong, right? In the military, we always do that after every operation. We always have what's called hot washes or a debrief. Lessons learned. Was that relationship that you just built, is that something that went somewhere? And if not, why not? Were they not a good fit? Were they not in the same industry? Were they just someone that you feel weren't going to be able to get you to the next level, the next stage of growth for your business? And what went well, right? Those relationships that you did build, those relationships that led to potentially a contract, right? We always like saying, let's turn our contacts into contracts. That is something that is key. Why are they a contact? If the contact is not a contract, then maybe they're not in the business side, and that's okay. Maybe you always need those accountability buddies, people that help you level up with personal development, right? And you speak a lot about that, right? Let's talk about how personal development is so important in the life of a business owner.
Like we met on LinkedIn for the last couple of years, right? But I've learned the transition after the Gulf War. Personal development is the key to success. A lot of us stray away because we're still holding on to what we believe in, and we're just floundering because we're looking to identify. We're not looking for mentors that to be able to align ourselves, to hold us accountable, and establish our standards. And for me, doing this for the last 20 years, right? Not the richest guy, but I can tell you from my part, my development skills have increased in the last 20 years, especially in the last 5. And I believe that people need to understand that, because you got to be able to speak to the audience in a way that they understand. We talked about this offline, right? We can be very direct. Next thing you know, we got an HR issue. Hey, you can't be saying this and putting capitals and bullet points on this because people are not going to like this. But my whole thing is, this is where you got to take that for food for thought and, hey, how do I spin that? How do I have them buy into that? How is it that they can see me from a different light and say, oh, he's just a Marine? And they think that just because you're a Marine or any service person, that you're a box of rocks and you have no inkling of what's going on, that anytime the stress comes up, we start speaking in acronyms and start getting a knife hand. So for us, I think the biggest thing that you notice, right, that Albert was talking about, there's Albert, there's Al, there's me, there's somebody else. We were all stationed in 29 Palms that era, right? So it was like, how is it that we were able to collaborate? But this is the purpose of having a trade show. This is the purpose of having a function, something, an event, a live event. You bring your A game to the center stage. You start talking to people like yourself. You start mitigating the circumstances of what needs to be addressed and focus on the task at hand. And then you have to reflect on, when you're engaging with high-level people, where are you at in your personal development? Where are you at in your business development? Are you falling behind? You need to level up. Me, I had to like open my eyes. I said, I got to step it up. So,
I love that. And what you just said stood out to me is surround yourself with people to where you want to go, right?
Mhm.
The right kind of people that are going to push you to that next level. It's all about exposure, right? There were people from the state of California there, procurement officers there, the military department of California was there, and the Southern California Metropolitan Water District. What they were saying is you have to be in part of those type of environments if you want to turn those contacts into contracts. They have to know who you are, not just spray and pray what people do for sending their resume, right? Oh, I'm going to hope that this person is going to hire me. I'm just going to type in these keywords and no. They need to know who you are, man. It's like, people, I got buddies that are dating right now on Tinder. I'm like, bro, you think just because of a photo, that's it? You guys are gonna hit it off? Like, no. Hold on. Go talk to her, right? And they tell me the same thing. And I get it, man. I get it. It's like, it doesn't happen that way, man. It happens organically. I see you nodding your head over here.
Yeah. So look, everybody looks at social media. Look at the platform. They look at your profile. They have a perception
Correct.
of who you are based on your content. The guy in the Southern California Water District, right? I started talking to him, and he says, "I'm not a veteran, but hey," I said, "You got to get personal development. You got to be able to. You bring a lot of value to it, but you got to be able to network with people that from a social media marketing standpoint to be able to get people to have those key things because you have a bulletproof content." Getting back to what you were saying, right? People dating on the social media, it's like, why am I talking to you on this if I can talk to you like this? And the whole thing is, if we're going to meet based on this, let's have some coffee outside and we'll meet and shake hands and let's get the vibe going, because body language doesn't lie. Intuition doesn't lie, right? And the first 5-10 seconds of your verbiage of what you break the floor doesn't lie. So my whole thing is, a lot of people, I learned about it, but they were kind of taken back because I was able to respond to what they were talking about, and they didn't think about it objectively, right? And this is why we're talking about personal development, personal growth, able to increase your verbiage, right? Develop your vocabulary and set a platform, So
yes, absolutely. I think personal development, you can take that with you anywhere you go. It's something that you should always be developing yourself every single day, mind, body, and spirit, right? I read the word every single morning.
I got it right in here, man.
And if you haven't grab the copy of another fellow Marines book, Marines Don't Cry.
I got it.
Another inspiring person who's doing great things to bring spiritual wealth to people, because I feel like that's also very, very important on your spirit, and it's also a leadership manual, something that you can take away as you go into your day. So personal development, that's key to doing that. Now, were there any small business owners or any conversations that you had, Hiram, that you said, this is a powerful conversation?
Right, we'll start with Gunny Gear, right? I don't know the lady's name, but she Gunny.
Julie Franco,
right? So I spoke to Hector Franco as well. So we were right in the middle of everything, and then we talked to Rocio Perez in the background. So it was a conversation to be able to bring certain things out. They were marketing their product, they were marketing their content, but here's the thing: they were solely relying on their own resources, which they came to the trade show and they were able to have dialogue with you, and they were able to dialogue with me. For myself, I was able to explain to them, right, that we both do podcasts, but you do it from a different standpoint. I do it on LinkedIn, and I only do it for high-level content. And the reason why I'm saying is because we both know doing this that after a period of time, it gets saturated for podcasts. And so I explained to them that you need to be able to do your own due diligence to market yourself. Just put something out there. Let it develop on its own, right? Let it organically grow. Find out where you're at and then develop it, and seek out relationships that can help you, guide you to that, and then do something. I explained to both of them and quite a few people from the water district. I said, we could do a podcast and put something that's very specific today, right? Especially now that the government shut down, I have to put that in there, right? Because for a number of reasons, it's affecting the federal, the federal government and the veteran community, and now they're trying to not trying but working on taking it to another level. So kind of plateauing it to a point, but we need to have another breakthrough, right? So how we do this? The trade show is another way of filtering things out, right? Everybody shows up and let's meet and greet, but now it's time to level up. How are we going to level up from this trade show? Okay, I know what I'm good at. Now the competition is how do I set myself up for success in order to collaborate with people like yourself, people like myself, give them exposure. How can we develop that? That's the deal breaker.
Yes, and by the way, I do have to give a plug here for Hiram. He has millions of followers on combined platforms. I don't know if he has some inside deals with all these, platforms that I don't know about, but that man has been working so hard. So if you're looking for reach, contact Hiram Figueroa. That man has a lot of followings on LinkedIn, a very professional, business-minded leader and on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for reach, Hiram is your guy here. You said one thing that stood out to me as far as government dependency. We understand that there's a lot of challenges, a lot of change that is happening.
Yep.
I feel that this is a tremendous opportunity for small businesses to now work inward and look at their backyard for resources, right? Go talk to your neighbor, find out how you're doing, and use this to market yourself, but go talk to your neighbor. Go talk to them.
Here's my thing, Jeffrey. If you notice, a lot of people, they talk about their businesses, but they have their face in there. And then pretty much they're hoping to chase clouds to be able to organically grow with their business. Small business owners, this is a prime example of what's happening right now. We'll go with COVID, right? Businesses were failing and everything. Two things can happen. Either you run to the fight and fight it through, or you run away from it and you can die on your sword and see if you're going to survive this. So a lot of people kind of pivot pretty much on this, say, okay, COVID changed the narrative. It's time for me to change it. Now there's an opportunity based on what's going on. And for both of us, we've been able to do that for a number of reasons. Our trust and credibility and our transparency is bar none. People don't understand that is a non-negotiable trait. In talking to people like you and me is something where if you want to be able to collaborate, there's some standards, right? There's some non-negotiable things. We're not going to compromise on certain things. And for small business owners, they need to understand it because they're struggling and they're all by themselves. And especially the minority business owners, they're all by themselves. And when they see people like yourself and like myself that have deal with the adversities and everything else, we've been battle tested to a certain point, they can come to us and take an advice, or they can look for professional mentorship. It's all about getting back and see what success does,
Yes. I mean, a couple of things which you talked about is this is your opportunity to work across the aisle. Do not get settled in your community. Find out those allies, those people, and use your principles. As you mentioned, be driven by your principles, raise your standard, but go as a small business, tell your story, tell us who you are, tell us why you exist. The reason why I like Gunny Gear and why I gravitated to Julie Franco, not because she's a fellow Marine, but because she was 88 pounds, Hiram.
Yeah, I know.
When she went to the Marine Corps, like the M4, the M16 was just as freaking tall as her, bro. And I was like, holy cow. But what I learned is that she did it because her brother, Hector, tried out for the Marine Corps. And I was talking to Al Solis about it. He said, if I was his DI, I would have made him freaking pass it through for some reason. But what I love about her is she went through with it anyway, right? Like she made it through boot camp, and her brother, I mean, she's honoring the Franco family.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about from a small business owner, right? If you're a small business owner, you got people in your family bring them along if you can, right? I understand sometimes dynamics play a really crucial role. They say not to do business with your family, but don't get me wrong, there are some very successful family-owned businesses out there in America that are all aligned. They know the vision, they know the mission, they know what needs to be done here. And this is what I like about this duo, the Francos, man, that they're freaking in it to win it, Hiram.
You know, when I talked to Julie Franco, right, she was amazed, right, because she didn't know I was a drill instructor. And I talked to her brother, right. I showed him a picture. I said, well, you know, his situation. I said, back then, you know, a certain situation, we set you up for success. A lot of people don't understand that when you go to boot camp, let's use the Marine Corps boot camp as a fellow DI, right? We set the platform. There's stages: receiving, first phase, second phase, third phase, graduation, final drill, final inspection. These are all stages where we filter you out. If you want it bad enough, we'll help you out. If you have the potential, we'll guide you. We'll make sure that you don't quit because it's a reflection on us, right? As a drill instructor, my whole thing is, I could tell you a story where they're from Chicago, right? I had a whole platoon of guys from Chicago, Latin Kings, Rukins, all these disciples, everything. I stressed the hell out of those boys. Those boys were trying to jump out of the portholes, and yeah, private doesn't want to train and everything else. But, you know, we took the identity from the urban city of their affiliation, of gang affiliation. They stripped them out to nothing. And the thing about it is, once you shave their heads, their identity goes, right? And then they have the deer in the headlights look. So all of a sudden, their identity, I said, I had a private, he had a nice haircut. I said, that's very nice. Well, guess what? We're going to give you a free one. And next thing you know, he's shocked, right? But the biggest thing I can tell you is that and there was 90 of these guys. I don't remember how many graduated. I think it was 70. But 20 of them didn't make it. But I stressed the hell out of them, that we wore them out everywhere we go, everything else. But the satisfaction of them graduating and then coming to me was a prime example of leadership. And people don't understand that is what we bring to the table. That's a reflection of the Francos, right? To be able to utilize that grit, the intestinal fortitude of understanding the dynamics of success, because people admire that. But at the same time, anybody can attain that. But you need to be aligned with people that can speak that language. And you have to be open to it, to receive it. Because if you're not leveling up, but you want to be in that level, there's a gap. And in that gap, that's got to be coming from you, because yourself and myself, we've attained to that. Now we're surrounding with other people that are extremely high level, that there's things that we don't know, right? But yeah, we as collaborators and mentors, we need to be able to share that in a trade show, because they're just evolving. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And look, I'm going to give a plug again. I'm always going to give a plug to veteran-owned businesses. If you want to know more about Julie Franco, we will be coming out soon with a recording that I did with her. And if you want to support support her and the Francos, Marine founded, owned business. I mean, from Chicago, just an amazing success story. You can go to gunnygear.com, or you can scan the QR code right above, and that will take you to their page. Again, every sale that that they accomplish with Gunny Gear, they will donate a portion to veterans in need. Like, how powerful is that, right? For them, it's more than just a transaction. It's about giving back, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not necessarily buying a shirt. You're buying support and helping other veterans that are in need, man. I mean, this is what I love about veterans, Hiram. They go above and beyond. For them, it's more than a transaction. It's about helping fellow veterans out.
So in Gunny Gear, right, if you're buying a product, it stands for something. It symbolizes something, right? You're not just buying something that it's like fashionable. It's something of a trademark. It's a mission statement. And like a lot of people, they have a lot of mission statements as well. It's important to understand the dynamics of what's going on. And, you know, I share with Hector quite a bit. If you notice while you were moderating, I was talking to him for about a good hour and giving him guidelines, because at the same time, regardless of what's going on, you're still a human being. And I had to share with him, I said, You got to be able to reevaluate your situation and start loving yourself and start holding yourself accountable and stop making excuses, because you have reasons and you have results, but you can't have both. But you're giving me too many reasons and there's not enough results of what's happening. So I said, you have a business. You came out to California. It's different from Chicago. I think you need to take away a couple of nuggets to be able to apply it. We're going to be, we exchanged numbers, but at the same time, I said, you got 90 days to change your environment. You got 30 days to establish yourself in protocol as far as your health and wellness. You got 60 days to be able to get some benefits, to evaluate where your lifestyle is, because at the end of the day, 45 or 46 is only one time. What happens when you're going to be 50? What happens when you get 60? What happens when you get to 65, right? Those are things that go by real quick. And and I know we've talked since last year, and you've done a lot as well. And I have to give kudos of reevaluating and taking your health as your personal business card. Because in presence, people don't understand. And and I know, as men, we size up men if they're alpha dogs or whatever,
Yep.
based on how they dress, based on their physicality, how they've been able to conduct themselves. If their energy is good, if their energy is bad, we can see that. That is the first thing that opens the door for conversations. And it's the last thing that you leave with somebody in impressions. So people need to understand that, social media is great, but there's a lot of moving parts as well to be able to do that. But I believe that being physically fit and maintaining your health is your best investment, that you can't go wrong, because at the end of the day, you can't get it back. No matter how broke you are, you have your health. You're physically, mentally, and spiritually independent. I shared with you one day that, I thought I was going to lose my eyesight, right? And I freaked out, and I was doing everything possible. Thank God I have benefits and everything else, and it's something minor, but we take it for granted. We take it for granted. People are making too many excuses, and they don't stay there in a humble perspective that, hey, I have all these opportunities, I have all these things, I should be able to give back to society, give back to the universe, and then coming back, just like yourself,
Powerful stuff here. I mean, we have it backwards. Like, we should start with our health and our spiritual health first before seeking career or business, right? I mean, Solomon didn't ask for riches. He just asked for God's wisdom first. So if we seek that first, the wisdom to invest in your health, the wisdom to be in alignment with God, everything else will come. That's what it sounds like what you're saying, Hiram. And that's a great lesson learned for business owners. If you're going out into the world, first impressions matter. How you present yourself matter. How you communicate matters. And people don't care really what you have to say. They care about how much you care.
Absolutely.
And if you show them that you care, that you're there for them, that, hey, man, we're going to figure something out. If you're furloughed, or I had another Marine today who is just about to got engaged, got out in the Marine Corps, and he said, hey, they just let me go. Because a lot of people losing their jobs, Hiram. A lot of them. And I said, hey, brother, don't worry about it. Come tomorrow to the barbecue where we bring all fellow veterans, myself and my roommate, also a fellow Marine, and we will figure out a way to freaking connect it with what we need to do. And that's what I love about the trade show. It's about us being there for each other, right? I want people to get away from this individualistic mindset, right, where we fight each other over a morsel of bread for a $1 raise, man. I'm gonna throw you under the bus. It's like, really? How does everybody win from that, man? If you really want that extra dollar raise for your salary that they take half of your paycheck, go for it. Go for it, man. Because this brings us to the next topic: ownership. Ownership. Hiram, how important is it today, given the current environment, given that everyone is expendable through the corporation or through the government? How important is it today to have ownership, Hiram?
Let me put it to you this way. Two of the seven deadly sins are gluttony and pride, right? They work hand in hand in ownership as well, right? Because we have too much pride and thinking that we're good enough, and ownership. People don't understand that you own your life right now. You own your life, right? Nobody is running your life but yourself, right? And the thing about it is ownership gives you that pride for yourself, your self-satisfaction that I made this, I created this. Nobody can take that away from me except myself. I get distracted because people want to buy my type of product or my ownership because they don't have the grit or the tenacity to do it on their own. So you get distracted, and then you settle for second less, right? Instant gratification. Here you go. I'm buying you out. Okay, what does that do for you? It can help you out, but at the same time, do you lose your identity? Of course. At the same time, how are you going to reevaluate? How are you going to be able to give back? How are you going to be able to show that you've been able to do something? Because people have a tendency, once you succeed in a point where you have ownership, they want to buy what you have been able to build. And sometimes those things are non-negotiable. You know, and I know that. And people need to understand that for a number of reasons. At the end of the day, no matter how many material things you have, doesn't matter. When it's time to check out, man upstairs is going to say, you want that final word? Well done, faithful servant. Yeah? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Much. Amen. You know, my father, I talked about this, right? He was materially poor, but rich in spirit, in the spirit, man. And, you know, we didn't have much growing up, blue collar family, growing up in Central California. My father was a bracero, but the man was wise, man. Only had a second grade education, and all he cared about was the success of his future, of his family. So to your point, if you're a business owner and you have a family or you're thinking about creating a family, you should think bigger than just about yourself and thinking about just what's in front of you. You got to think way more. Think about going back to Albert and his 100-year plan. Albert said it himself. He says, I don't care how much money I have in the bank account. I don't care what material possessions I have. All I care about is that I made the difference in the life of a child, Hiram. A child.
Right. It's called leaving a legacy, right? At the end of the day, think about it, Jeffrey and the audience. At the end of the day, when you pass away, how would you want to be remembered in your eulogy? I'll give you a good example. Diane Keaton, right? She passed away, right? But she did a lot of things. She kept it private, but she left a legacy where people were amazed by what she was doing because she was private, she was humble. And then, the thing about it is she had her dog, Reggie, like my dog. But the thing about it is that she was remembered in such a way that people continue to do that. People need to understand that when you get to that point, you want to leave a legacy that can be, remembered for years, decades, centuries, something that you made an impact, something that you left, something that you can help somebody understand. That's the end goal when you're doing business. That is the end goal when you're business development. That is the end goal for personal development. And finally, that is the end goal for spirituality. If you're not in alignment with all those things, you're totally distracted because you're living in the world of today's expectations. And the world, and I know, Jeffrey, is ruthless, Ruthless.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you brought a point about leaving a legacy, because that is something that we are going to be talking about. And you're going to be involved too, Hiram. Next year at the trade show, you're being voluntold right now. Next year, we're going to be talking about leaving a legacy. We want to bring the elders, the older generations with the youth, because there's going to be a transfer of trillions of dollars of wealth in the next 10 to 20 years. And it's my understanding that the successors, the children of those older generations, do not want to inherit their parents' hard work, their blood, the business that they have built with their blood, sweat, and tears. So we want to talk about that, but we also want to talk about besides the transfer of wealth, the transfer of wisdom,
I
which is
think
something else.
Transfer of wisdom is a lot of things. It's self-taught. It's something that you have to acquire, right, based on a lot of failures at the same time. And people, they go like this. We have a different age group, right? And I'm at a point where I refuse to quit. And we've talked about my situation, and I'm going like, I refuse to be held accountable for somebody else's mistakes. And I said, I shared to her, I said, where I'm going to be at 70, right? How I'm going to be able to change the narrative, how I'm going to be able to make sure that I can be able to do this. And when we go to the trade show, we start talking to young-minded people, and their narrative is way different than yours and mine. Even though we have a half a generation separate, but the ideology of them seeing the world from based on social media and on the phone and screen time and everything else, and the freedom of not caring what they do, they've lost their values. And you can honestly see that kids don't even dress that way. They go to places with their pajamas and they're not whatever Crocs or everything else. And my whole thing is, you have some kids that have the values, and you have some generations that have some families that have that value. But overall, when we're dealing with business owners, right, younger ones, they have a different perception how they're going to make money. You can never make money quick, because the faster it comes, the faster it goes, and you have to be able to sustain it. So when you were doing the moderation, it's pretty much Q&A, indirectly holding them accountable and say, so if we're going to do this, how is this going to come out? So people can understand that, you can talk about your mission statement all day, but there's feedback. And sometimes people don't want to receive that.
Correct. Absolutely. I mean, going back to the word, right? Sometimes the hearts are being hardened, and they don't want to listen to what you have to say. And it's tough, right? I mean, when you're a consultant or you're advising a CEO or a government official, they think they know it all until they bump their head a little bit. And then they want to come to you because you're an outside observer, you're an outside advisor, you're a consultant. You see the whole big picture. And we understand that, but we have to reach them, because we are at a pivotal time right now where our youth are being influenced through these technologies, these devices that we are in today, that we're talking on right now. And so it's up to us to be able to influence them, change the narrative, and get them to open their minds a little bit, to have conversations, because it's important for them to understand that, yes, there's going to be a transfer of wealth, but there's going to be a transfer of wisdom, and that is more valuable than gold and silver. And I hope they can understand that a good name is important. A good name for the reputation of your family. So if you're a young one out here, if you're listening to this, you're going to be listening to this, understand that wisdom is really one of the keys to success. That's why Solomon asked for it first, and he became very wealthy.
Yes, he did.
Very, very, very wealthy. But he didn't go after the riches first. He wanted wisdom. So he asked God for wisdom. So if you follow that simple concept, it will come to you. But a lot of times wisdom, like you said, doesn't come until we start hitting our heads, right? The reason why my dad was so wise, besides having a secondary education, lost his mom when he was 18, had 2 stillborn children, lost his first wife, almost died a couple of times in Mexico, was here for the Bracero program, right? That was created because of World War II. Very, very wise man, but he had to hit his head quite a bit of times, and that's failure. When you fail in life, you get wisdom out of that. And if you get wisdom, you will be successful with guiding principles, especially with biblical principles. I don't throw this or force on anybody, but the word is a leadership manual. There's a lot of principles there. It's how it can be your guiding light, your North Star, if you will. It can show you the way. It can show you that narrow path, so you can guide your family and your seed that's going to outlive you to be more successful, right? Your bloodline here. And so as we get ready to wind down, here. Hiram, what are some things that you're going to be looking forward to for the rest of this year and for next year's trade show?
So we'll start with the, piggyback on King Solomon. King Solomon's mine. And, my name is Hiram, right? So Hiram is the architect of King Solomon's mine that was murdered because he had the secrets to it. Oh, so wisdom and belief, because to be able to follow it. What I'm looking back to your point in the trade show is people need to take themselves seriously. If they want to spend time that they can't get back and in a trade show, they have to get more out of it. They have to be like myself, looking at how to get more out of it and not settle, because everybody has a business plan, right? Everybody waits till the New Year resolution, New Year's to start a New Year's resolution. 9 times out of 10, that lasts about 20 days. And then they check out, right? Your business plan should start now before the New Year starts coming in, and start developing your business plan. What I'm looking at is what have I done this past year, a couple of years that I could have done differently. And now I don't want to be in the same position next year that I am this year. So that is going to require support from you and some other people, because you can't do it by yourself. If you think you can do it by yourself, God bless you, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be more of a rough situation, and you're going to lie to yourself, because that tells me a lot about yourself, because you're selfish and you don't want to share the fruits of your labor. So my whole thing right now is going into 2026 is change the narrative, see what we're going to do. We're not going to stop working. I don't believe in retirement now, because those days are gone. And so retire when your time is checked out. At the end of the day, that's it. So that's where I'm looking at.
You're like my dad, man. My dad worked it to the very end, and but it's not work, because every day you get to wake up, right? It's a blessing, and so that's great. I'm looking forward to finishing strong in 2025. And for those of you, again, if you're going through change, this is good. There's always a season for everything. Right now is the opportunity to look inward and look to your backyard. That neighbor who has a small business, that family who donates every year so your child can have jerseys, that small business, they know you and the community more than some big box corporation who does not care about you, who may not share your same values. Now is the time for you to open up your wallet and vote with your wallet. Support local small businesses. Keep them alive. We talk about how small businesses are the backbone of America. If you're listening to this, or you're going to be listening to this, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Go out and do it. When I met Gunny Gear at that trade show, what did I do, Hiram? What did I do? I said, hey, what can I do for you? Okay, I want that shirt. I want that hat. Boom. And then I said, oh, hey, Marines, all these other Marine Corps vets that I saw, come over here. They all opened up their wallet. Why?
That's right.
So that's what we need to do. If you are a community leader, you're listening to this, go talk to your small businesses, promote them, advocate for them, and advocate for your fellow brother and sister. I will always advocate for Hiram here. He has so much wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to have to pay millions of dollars for someone like this. And you know what? If you want to get some additional advice, contact him. Jump on a call with him, right? He's a fellow Marine. He has been there. He's battle tested. He is the person you want on your team as a partner, as a consultant, someone that's going to take you to the next level. And he is passionate, because I've seen him chair organizations on their board, and he knows how to clean house and get them on the right pathway. So again, we're probably going to be doing more of these lives, and I look forward to doing it with Hiram. Today, if you want to support the TVC podcast,
mute.
with ladies and gentlemen, thank you. One last thing is, again, please connect with Hiram. Like I said, Hiram will level you up. He will get your business to the next level. Or if you want to work on your personal brand, Hiram is your man. The man is not only a fellow believer, fellow Marine, but he is an American. He wants to see you successful. Your success is his success. He will take your business to that next level. He has the government experience. He has the industry experience. He served our nation. Now is the time to get that transfer of wisdom that we're going to be talking about next year. And if you like what we're talking about, if you like the TVC podcast, giving you a voice where we cover personal development, business, and leadership, you can scan that QR code. You can support the podcast and the growth of leadership, personal development, and business. And oh, by the way, we put our money where our mouth is. We're using a veteran-owned platform that is eliminating those credit card fees called Moneda. Looking to keep the benefits locally in the economic in the community. So with that being said, Hiram, any final thoughts?
I really thank you for giving me some edification. But if you're serious about some mentorship, if you're serious about going through transition and you need some guidance, I'm sure there's a lot of successful people, but I do it because there's some truth to what I do, right? It's all about guidance and mentorship and able to, if you're looking to hire somebody as a business consultant, reach out to me, reach out to Jeffrey. It's all about what I put out there. Not everybody can agree, but if you're looking to level up and change your narrative, just check me out on LinkedIn. Check out Jeffrey on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code. We'll be able to do this. And I think we got the Marine Corps birthday coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. I'm dragging Hiram out. I am dragging him out. I'm dragging all these Marines out, man. I'm gonna see his hamburger stack or, his black tie. His black tie. It's gonna be phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. You are not gonna want to miss it. The 250th celebration of the Marine Corps, one of the best leadership institutions in the world. So again, I hope you guys all have a blessed Saturday and a blessed weekend. This is TVC signing out.
Peace out. Thank you.